And so we were looking at August, it needs to be, put on the, they need to be notified that we want to put it on the, thing. And we had not received anything from the, county commission or the chair, et cetera, until last week.
I think it was last Thursday or Friday, I think.
Last Thursday or Friday, we finally got a letter, with some prodding from a few different directions. We got a letter from the city, or county attorney, stating that they wanted to meet with all of the mayors on Monday, June 27th at 6 p.m. It'll be a public, I mean, you know, y'all can come. It's going to be in the historic courthouse, commissioners meeting room at 6 o'clock, Monday, June 27th, to talk about SPLOST. They also sent over with that letter their proposed distribution of, or allocation, I should say, of what they projected in terms of revenue from the SPLOST and a draft intergovernmental agreement. So this has all been real short, you know, fused in terms, we just got it. The long and short, let me just give you the long and short of it, is they were proposing a 6-year SPLOST, and they were proposing to use strictly the percentages of population. And so the implication of that on Oxford explicitly under their for 5 years, based on their estimate of 108 million for 6 years. When you divide that by 6 and then get an annual figure and multiply it times 5, just for comparison of what we got what we were allocated for the 2017 SPLOST. For the 2017 SPLOST, we were allocated 1.5 million, I believe, somewhere around that number, and 5 years would get us 1.846, and 6 years would get us 2.216, based on us being 2.3%. I'm sorry, 2.05% of the county population. However, we met with the mayor. Bill and I met with the mayors and city managers a couple weeks ago, and that was what led to the prodding to get the county to take action. We met just today, and the consensus was, the consensus of that meeting was to not accept the county's proposal, but rather to suggest, which would, the county's proposal, would mean that they would receive 82.73% of that $108 million, because that is their percentage of the county population is in terms of unincorporated area, which we all agreed was not appropriate because of the disproportionality of where revenue is generated and the intensity of use of public service infrastructure and services. And so we will, when we meet with them, when we meet on Monday, Frank Turner he's going to convey before then, but he will be the voice of that. We propose the county receive 76% of the SPLOST funds, which is, I think 1%. Is that 1% more than they got previously?
I think so.
In the 2017 SPLOST, but still seemed like a reasonable suggestion. So the game has just begun in terms of negotiation. We're hoping that they will go along with that, but it seems that they're playing a bit of a game of chicken with the cities, and so the cities are talking, and we're trying to make sure that we are all unified. So if y'all have other thoughts on that, it's just been, we had to meet today to talk before I had a chance to talk to y'all, but I wanted you to know that that's in discussion. And of course, that's just to get it on the ballot, and then folks have to vote on it. So I guess this is also the year by the end of this year, calendar year, we have to reauthorize the lost allocation distributions. And we have until December 31st of 2022 to submit to the Department of Revenue what our lost allocation will be. The county has to submit by July 1st. They have to submit to the Department of Revenue their intent to reauthorize the lost. If they do not, then any city within the jurisdiction can notify the Department of Revenue that we intend to have it reallocated. And then I think it's 50% of the city's support, it goes forward. If they will not negotiate or agree on a reasonable allocation for lost, we have an option of going into our arbitration. And then, but the default is to population figures for that. So anyway, just I'm throwing that out there. Jim, I don't know if you had any questions. You look like you maybe had questions, but if any of y'all have questions, I'd be happy to answer them now based on what we've talked about just in the last week.
Nothing pertinent.
Okay.
This is the same dialogue that we heard back before the 2017 splosh. Of course, the numbers are changing because the income has changed.
Yeah.
It's the same push and pull, and of course, there's new faces all around the cities and the county.
Yeah.
But calmer heads prevailed, and a percentage was agreed upon that everybody's been able to live with.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the mayors need to go, is to push back for that percentage again.
And we recognize there's no one on the county commission or in senior positions of staff that were around when the 2017 SPLOST was passed or the 2011 LOST was negotiated. So I think it's 2011 was the last, anyway, it's 10 years ago. So we weren't sure if they knew how to do things, so we were trying to counsel them on what needed to be done, and they have taken steps on SPLOST. They've said they didn't want to talk about LOST yet, but we all feel very strongly that we need to be negotiating both at the same time. For one thing, because of timing, but the other thing is just, it doesn't make sense to have two different rules, really. So just that is in the works. If you want to come and be a part of that meeting on Monday, please do. And I'll be happy, Bill and I will be happy to share with you the information we have from the county and the information we discussed in our meeting this morning. We were all just trying to play the numbers and saying, well, okay, what if this, what if that? But one thing we do need to do as a council is decide what our allocation will be among the categories of projects. And Bill, we can send out to everybody what you and I kind of brainstormed as a thought, really based on what we've done in the past, some to public safety, some to transportation, some to infrastructure, i.e. water and sewer, and roads. So we'll get y'all's input on that. We can talk more about that in the July work session if y'all want. But sorry, just wanted to share that while it was hot off the presses. So that covered LOST and SPLOST. One other thing that's hot off the presses, I haven't had a chance to talk to any of y'all about is I had communication with Rivian, and they have submitted to be in our parade and are gonna intend to drive one of their trucks in the parade. And so I said, well, maybe we could use that as one of our transports for VIPs, and then have more VIPs we can put in the parade. Since I think we have 2 Jeeps. I think Roseberry actually said, former Mayor Roseberry, I think he said he's got a Miata. Somebody's gonna cart him around. So we've got, it'd be a great opportunity to get you guys, the other council members, maybe our, planning commission chair, our trees, parks and recreation chair, DDA chair, maybe get some other community leaders in the, out there in these more high visibility. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you because it might change the way we line people up or organize or whatever. But thought it was pretty cool that they wanted to be in our parade, and they wanted to put one of their trucks in the parade, and so.
That's
More
good.
to
They're
follow.
being smart about trying to build rapport in the community.
Yep, give more visibility. I suggested they should stick around at the park
Yes,
and let folks see the truck. So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
They've made a few missteps thus far.
yeah, so they're trying to make up for it. I think they realize they want folks to get to know them and understand they're not the type of company that's gonna, destroy the environment and, exploit natural resources, et cetera.
Don't we have some kind of personal relationship with the Rivian company?
Yeah, I guess full disclosure, my son's going to work for Rivian. He's interned with them the past 2 years, and he's going out to California to work for them. Leaves on the 3rd, so he won't be there for the parade. But yeah, so I do have obviously that personal connection, and that my son interned with them. So don't hold that against me. But anyway, I think it's good for the community for them to have an opportunity to be there. And I think it supports our ethic of sustainability. And so it seemed like a good win-win for us, for us. Great. I think that's it for announcements. Any questions? All right, let me get the right agenda. Do we have any, we don't have any citizens here to express concerns, so,
I think not showing up makes a statement.
yeah.
But we do not know what state.
I'm not sure what statement it makes, but it
I'll
makes
leave
that
that
statement.
open-ended.
So the next item is the deputy sheriff, July 4th contracts. I know y'all were sent as part of the packet, the contract for hiring deputy sheriffs for July 4th. Who has details on that?
This does not cover by the intergovernmental agreement.
No, you mean like the existing responsibilities of I think they operate by the fact that they are responsible to cover us as the jurisdiction of their, I don't know, that we don't have a separate IGA with them, do they?
So to answer your question, we're gonna have to pay the sheriff's department deputies to come assist us with the parade. As a matter of fact, I called the Sergeant Redlinger, Jack Redlinger, and advised him of the parade, and his first response was like, man, I hope that you weren't gonna call me and tell me y'all were having that parade this year. He said, I've gotta have 10 deputies committed to their events on the 4th. So I did tell him we were taking it off of 81, but we do need some assistance, and so he agreed to find us 4 deputies to assist us with the traffic. So we discussed it at the parade meeting, and the decision was made that it needed to be ran through the city attorney, and he recommended the contract be signed in order to pay the deputies to assist us with traffic.
But the funds will go through the sheriff's department to pay the deputies.
No.
Oh, we'll pay-
It's a
directly.
We'll pay the
private
deputies
contract.
direct.
That's
So
correct.
this is sort of like an off-duty.
So
It's an
each of the
officer.
officers will sign with that
Just to
contract.
give you a little bit more background on it, just because they are short-staffed, I did send an email out over the weekend, and I was contacted by Sergeant Redlinger and advised that the sheriff's department are accepting no prisoners at the jail due to staff shortages and officer concerns, unless it is a felony. So if we arrest someone, we take them and they fingerprint them and they release them. So when I asked him to have a prisoner transported to the city court who was arrested for a outstanding warrant, I was advised then that we have to hire off-duty deputies to have him transported from the jail to the court. So we had to make some movement and discussion with the judge and the solicitor to hear the cases, and then one officer had to go and transport this defendant back to court.
If we hired a deputy to transport a prisoner, does he have to sign a contract?
I don't know. I've never had to,
We've never had to sign a contract before, the reason I keep asking the question.
I'm not sure, council member, I just,
But knowing that an attorney was asked, that's exactly the quick answer you're gonna get from an attorney. Take 1,000 attorneys, you're gonna
It's
get
always
900.
been, my understanding and my experience is working off part-time duty jobs as a police officer is that you request it through your department. If your department agrees and allows you to work that job, then you are covered to work that job, as if you were working on duty. In my previous department, that if you were working a part-time job at a location and a call went out, then they expected you to respond to that call because you're a police officer on duty, working. You're working at Walmart on West of Chapel Road or the Home Depot, and there was something that happened across the street or around the corner, they would want you to respond because you're there. So that was part of the agreement with the officers to work a part-time job off duty. But I've never signed a contract in my career.
Why can't you and your officers transport?
We can. That's what we had to do. This person that was transported was 6'3", 380 pounds. He was transported from one jail to the next jail here. And then after he got to the Newton County Jail, it was my understanding he was still in a holding cell because we had another inmate to take that next day. And apparently he was giving the sheriff's department a very hard time at the jail with the fighting. So I myself had to attend the chief's conference at that time, not a conference, but the chief's training that was required by the law. And we had 2 officers here, so it was not, at that time, it would not have been safe for one to transport. But we made arrangements. We had to order a leg shackle and what's called a waist belt, so where you could handcuff them to the waist. There's not any here, and there never was any here at the police department, so we did order those, and we were able to get him here without incident. Normally, we will be able to transport them. Now we have 4 personnel, so there's no problem with 2 to go and get an inmate, and then to have 2 still here in the court. We have to man the court. I unfortunately stand right here by this podium for about 4 hours while the judge is here, and we hear the cases. We have to have them come in to a metal detector. We wand them, and they come right in. So we do have to provide the security for the courtroom. That was the only hiccup we had at that time.
So can we go ahead and get a motion to approve the deputy sheriff's contracts so that we can get those 4 officers under contract to support us on July 4th?
We have discussion after the
We'll have discussion after the motion.
So I'll
You
move
move,
the motion.
okay, wait a second.
Second.
Okay, so further discussion?
So I just was curious about that, the off-duty contract jobs, and just pulled it up, and the only thing I could really find is Peachtree City pays $40, or suggests $40 an hour. That's what their police require for off-duty things like that. And $50 an hour for movie set work, which I thought was kind of fun. I just thought that $10. But I was wondering where we've gotten our $50 an hour from. Is it enticing those off-duty guys on the 4th, or?
No, ma'am, so that's the minimum rate here
Oh,
in Newton
okay.
County.
Okay,
Also, just to give you another explanation as to why, it is the 4th of July, so some officers go to make $75 to $125
Yeah.
per hour. I was actually contacted by a lieutenant from the city of Covington Police who asked if our officers would like to work part-time for them that evening for the fireworks, and it is a minimum of
in the
$50 per
evening.
hour.
Sure. Okay, cool. I was just curious because I'd never really thought about off-duty work, and so I was kind of looking online. So I'm
Just
sure-
give you an idea about Peachtree City, I think you might be familiar with Peachtree City. It's very, 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 very well-to-do, wealthy city. So wealthy that they paint the back of the stop signs brown, all the guardrails are printed brown to blend in. And it's a very well-off city, so
Yeah.
their officers are about $80,000 per year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's surprising they need to up their hourly off-duty rate. So,
And I'm not sure how old that is, but that's the goal.
yeah, and that's the
minimum
other
rate.
thing. I couldn't find a date on the material that I was reading, so I was like,
Yes,
I wonder
ma'am.
how out of date this is.
Yes,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
fine.
it was interesting reading.
Sure.
Go sit down.
Jim's got
Don't
one
sit down, just
question.
go, okay.
Okay, I thought you said go sit down, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can you turn on the microphone? Can you turn it on?
are we gonna have any officers that work for the city of Covington that evening? Didn't you just say that they called to ask if we would have some officers that would like to work?
They did ask us if we would like to work, but everyone so far has refused because 4th of July is Monday, and we will be working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so they're all.
Okay, I was just curious if they were being asked to sign a contract.
They said there was some paperwork they had to fill out, was the tax form. That evening, they would sign the tax form, and then they would have to check that
Okay,
by the
well,
weekend.
I don't, the contract to me, it goes against what we've always done, and suddenly we're setting a different precedent, which is fine if that's what we want to do, but it's always been more handshake kind of things in the past. I beg your pardon?
They don't do much of that anymore.
Well, this is true, but I mean,
Well, I mean, I agree with you.
My experience has never had a contract either. It's always been, if I have the permission to work from a supervisor from my department, the agreement was between myself and the person who was paying me. I've never had to sign a contract with the company. That was, Ms. Brooks might be able to answer that better for you, I'm not sure.
It's possible that the sheriff's department is trying to be more enterprising with
No,
the
it
resources?
wasn't requested by the
No?
sheriff's department.
No?
This
It was
all-
requested by me,
Yeah, this was
To
initially.
have a
And-
contract?
and I still think it's the right thing to do.
I mean, if they're acting as independent contractors, then, and we're not doing it through a sheriff's department agreement, then I agree. I think a contract is appropriate.
Well, just as a reminder, when we had to have the evidence lockers redone, we entered into separate contracts with those police officers to accommodate that.
That
So
was
this is
pushed by me
following
as
it.
well.
This is following in the same path, and I don't see that we should not go along with it.
Sure. And then taxes will handle that as though they were contractors at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
They'll get a 9-day.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we had a call meeting at 6:30 and the work session at 7. That's right. Okay, well, any further discussion on the motion to approve contracts for the 4 off-duty police officers to assist with July 4th? Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
they,
Okay, let record, we have 4 ayes and 1 nay. Do you want to say aye or?
I said kind of low since I was.
Oh, sorry. Did you say aye?
Yeah, I said
Okay,
aye.
all right. 5 and 1. All right, next item is request to authorize purchase of TASER 7 to replace out-of-date equipment. We've discussed this previously and want to get that request in front of y'all. Any additional detail, Chief?
So this is this would require a contract signage as we did with the body camera, this is the new camera system that we went to, as opposed to the earpiece or the headpiece. So this is a one-piece gear now. And this would require a contract signed by you as well for that same company with that. We have sent it to the attorney, city attorney, Mr. Strickland. He reviewed it, said the contract looked fine. So we're just coming before you to get an authorization for the mayor to sign the contract or answer any questions that you may have regarding this TASER 7.
Okay.
I have a really quick question, but it's not relevant, or it's not relative to the TASER 7. It's more about, have we got enough under small equipment in the budget for this 37?
We explicitly put the
Yes, okay.
TASER costs,
Yeah.
service
So I
contract
just
costs
wanted to
in the
double
budget.
check.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
So can I get a motion to approve the contract for the TASER 7?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All right, thank you, Chief. All right, next item is approval of the FY 2023 budget resolution for the FY 2023 operating budget, and the FY 2023 special revenue funds budget, and FY 2023 capital improvement plan. You all received those items. Can I get a motion to approve the budget resolution.
So moved.
Okay, get a second?
Second.
Okay, have a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, we are done with all of the items on the agenda. I get a motion to adjourn from the regular, for the called meeting session. Get a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, now we will move into our work session.